So it's been a bit over a month since, a little over almost 2 months since the first time I uploaded my first video on YouTube. If you've seen that video where I was talking about the 4 things I've learned since starting YouTube, something of that nature, I don't really remember what the thumbnail says, but it was talking about 4 lessons learned since I started YouTube. And my very first upload was in December on the 29th in 2025. Pardon my interruption. I also want to make mention that lighting is another big thing I've learned as a milestone since my very first YouTube video upload. If you look at this video that you're watching right now, the lights are really hot. And I'm wearing glasses right now. So in one of my earlier videos when I was talking about eczema, and I believe I was featuring Blanc Noir in that video, I'm also wearing glasses because at that time my skin was really inflamed, and I was trying to, do all I could to not wear something that was irritating. So I think my hair was up, and I didn't wear any earrings or anything like that. I really don't recall what it was, but I know a lot of my skin was exposed because it was just so irritated, and I was trying to let it air out. But the lighting in that, I didn't realize the lighting was reflecting off of my glasses, and so it just looked really kooky in the appearance. And then sometimes the lighting can make your skin look flushed out and washed out and hot, and the angles and all that stuff. When you're first starting out, you don't want to spend a lot of money on gear, or if you can, you want to make sure you're purchasing the right gear. So thank you for bearing with me regarding the lights. I am aware, and I am growing because the light that I had on earlier has blown out. So that's why I'm looking the way I do now. And that's probably to my benefit because I'm wearing glasses again. So let's continue with the video. Today is February the 18th, 2026, and I have learned so much, and I wanted to stop and tell you guys a little bit about that, because one of the things I discovered, most importantly, is that you really don't know what you look like until you see what you look like when you're talking. That includes facial expressions, mannerisms, things that we do unbeknownst to our body language, we're completely unaware about. And we don't always know what we sound like until we hear ourselves recorded back. Now, that sounds strange for me because I am a veteran radio announcer. I did radio for 12 years. However, I relished in the fact that I was not visible to the audience. That's the kind of anonymity that I just fell in love with. I loved the fact that you could just hear a voice, become acquainted, and everything that you couldn't visibly see, they could pick up in the sound of your voice. Even when I wasn't feeling well, people would sometimes call and say, well, what's wrong? And I'm thinking, what do you mean what's wrong? Oh, you sound different. Well, all of that has gone away with video. And you just don't know what you sound like until you hear it back. So the biggest lesson I would say I've learned since I've begun YouTube is being more aware of my appearance. I think I've shared with you also before that I am an educator, meaning I teach exceptional students. I teach students that are intellectually disabled. So I teach students that have intellectual disabilities, and that includes anything from dual diagnoses of autism to emotionally disturbed, schizophrenia, Down syndrome, just a plethora of disabilities. And these are mild and moderate students that I teach. However, there are occasions where some of the other classrooms might need to have an evacuation, meaning they might need to leave their classroom for a crisis and come into my room, because my room is the largest that happens to be amongst the quad of special education classrooms in our school. And so I'm often exposed to the beautiful spectrum of autism. And I'm planning on doing another channel to explore that and just share some other conversations I want to have with you, not just on special education and the awareness of that, but also just other conversations that I want to have that are not related to fragrance. So that's something else that I discovered since uploading. I can't begin to discuss things with you that you aren't expecting to hear about. If it's not fragrance related, that would be unfair to you as the listener and the viewer. And it would also probably confuse the algorithm for YouTube to understand who to push my videos out to. So once again, I do appreciate you stopping by and listening to everything I've shared with you thus far. The other thing I want to share with you since my uploading is that I have learned that while subscribers and having the thumbs up is a positive thing. And I can understand why people would look at that as a point of success, being here on YouTube. For me, that doesn't get me going. That's not the thing that drives me. I'm not looking for how much money I can make and how many views I can get out of a video. All those things are definitely wonderful goals to shoot for. For me, if I could describe it, for me, I feel like, number one, this doesn't feel like work. This is something I want to do, to the point where I have to make sure I handle the things I need to do before I sit down and make a video, because this is something I can do all day, and the editing takes time. So recording it is just another way to have a conversation with you. Since we're not face to face, this is something I enjoy, because I've already told you I prefer to talk to people in person versus having to talk, via computer or through keystrokes and texting and blah, 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 blah. I understand all those things are wonderful. It does give YouTube an idea of what it is that I'm doing so that they can further promote. But for me, I really believe my production of these videos is so far beyond YouTube. I can't describe what it is because I don't really know, but I've learned so much in terms of storytelling, and I will share this with you. Someone that I made contact with here on YouTube, and they are a fellow content creator, much more successful than I am in terms of numbers and exposure, but they do have a fragrance brand, and they communicated with me just asking that I receive the product, and I explained yes, I had, and I told them that I had done a review, and this is prior to them reaching out to me at all. I told them that I had done a review on their product and would they like to see it. They actually said they would love to see it, and they gave me some pointers on it. And one of the things that they shared with me was that I told stories. And I thought that was interesting that they were able to even pick that up in our just casual, very, very casual conversation, that I tell stories. And I hadn't realized that, because I know that I'm a writer, and I know I love to speak, and I love Toastmasters. Matter of fact, I joined Toastmasters not so much that I had a fear of speaking. That wasn't it at all. It was the fact that I wanted to make sure that my voice was steady and solid when I was talking, so that it wouldn't be filled with emotion, and then people are therefore listening to the emotion in my voice versus what I'm saying and the context of my voice and how I'm saying it. So when they shared that with me, that just resonated, and I just kind of ran with it. And I couldn't agree more. When I'm sharing with you the different notes and the way that it makes me feel, I try to include a lot of visuals to give body and context to it. So I hope that doesn't bother you, because for me, that's one of the ways that I can really help to identify what it is I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to share. One of my biggest goals and hopes and desires while I'm here on YouTube is to, by this time next year, or even maybe by the whole year anniversary of when I uploaded, December 29th, 2025, is to find my tribe, to find my group, find my people, and for them to find me. So that when I do my release on my poetry books, that we will already have some common ground, that even if those viewers that enjoy fragrance aren't interested in poetry, that there could be a cross hybrid of the two. But if nothing else, that I could at least find my group of people, find my audience. That's one of the goals I want to achieve here on YouTube, because believe it or not, we all have a mic. There's always someone listening, and there is always going to be someone, as one of my therapists told me, that's going to make you their mentor without your permission. They're not going to ask you. They're just going to look up to you. They're going to watch you. They're going to listen to you. And they may even emulate you. So just understand, you might not have a channel, but that doesn't mean you don't have an audience. Everyone has an audience. That's why it's so important to be careful with what you share, how you share it, all those things. But that's not the point of this video. The point is to share with you some of the milestones that I've already reached. I have 10 subscribers. Somebody might giggle about that, but okay, that's 10 people that decided that, hey, I want to see what this person has to share with me. They didn't have to subscribe. They can very easily unsubscribe, and I'm aware of that too, which is why I don't get caught up in followers and thumbs ups and things like that. All that's relative. It can come, it can go. On Facebook, I have a presence there. Same with Instagram, but I don't even go to those platforms unless I'm doing a friend request or something of that nature, because I just don't care. First of all, that's superficial. the friends out there, the followers out there, that's all superficial. Those are not the people that would call me in the middle of the night if they had a crisis, nor would I call them. So all of that, if you could look at that as being cosmetic and iridescent in terms of fullness and body, it means nothing in my world. It means nothing. It does in terms of the visual, who you've got exposure to, who has exposure to you, but finding my tribe here on YouTube, finding the people that connect with me and that I can connect with, people that I can help, people that can enrich what I'm doing, and we can have an exchange. That's what I'm looking for. So thank you for bearing with me as I'm trying to even figure out my set, where I'm going to record, how I'm looking when I record. A lot of times coming home from school, doing my hair and makeup that wasn't already put in place before I left is the last of my worries. In my earlier videos, you can see how I might have looked in the beginning when I did some of my scent stories versus how I look at the end of the day. Looks like I went through the whole washer and dryer cycle. It's comical now, and in some ways it feels a little embarrassing, but it's real. I'm everyday people, and this is what you see. And I'm not in the bathroom styling my hair every day. Nothing's wrong with any of that. It's just that that's not what I do. And while I am very cosmetic, while I am very well aware of my appearance most of the time, sometimes there are days I don't feel like doing hair and makeup. There are days I don't feel like wearing a full face. And if I do, it's because I want to, not because someone's making me or I have a date or anything like that. No, I love makeup, and it's a part of my expression just as much as fragrance is. So there are going to be times I'm going to wear my blue, purple, green, silver eyeshadow or whatever it is, liner. And you'll see that in some of my videos. You may have already seen that. And there'll be days where I'm at a no makeup look, or days where I'm like this, somewhere in the middle. You might even see my contacts. I do like to wear contacts sometimes. I will never pick something. I don't want to say never, but I like to believe I would not ever fall in love more so with the color of the contacts that I'm wearing than the color that the good Lord chose to give to me, which is chocolate brown. And not going to be better than my pretty chocolate brown eyes. I love these hazels. I love the blues. I love the green. I love the brown. But these chocolate browns that are up under these hazels I'm wearing today, not going to be better than that. That's what I can see with. And that's what was chosen for me at creation. So it's things like that. All of that is expression. So I appreciate you taking the time to allow me to express. I know you haven't always made time or had time to comment. So whenever you do, thank you for that, because it lets me know that I need to follow up with you. Find out what it is that you have a question about, what you want to know about, what you might not understand. Because I don't like to assume that everybody that's watching understands the brands, understands the niche, understands the designer, understands the Middle Eastern. I don't ever want to assume that you know what a fragrance is just because I'm holding up the bottle and it looks familiar to me because I watch other content creators, but a newcomer may not even be familiar with that. So I try to be cognizant of that all the time, but on the way to there, I thank you for walking with me in the journey. I thank you for engaging, and I hope that along the way I can help make things easier for you. I want to be the easy place in your life, as someone once told me. Nevertheless, I think those are the main points I wanted to share with you. I didn't ever commit to telling you how often I would upload because I didn't know. In the beginning, I didn't know what it was going to be like. I didn't know how often I was going to record. I didn't know how long my videos were going to be. I knew that I didn't want them to exceed 30 minutes. 20 minutes was my sweet spot, and ironically, I've been able to maintain that without trying. I've been able to maintain that sweet spot between 17 and 20 minutes of your time. And so there's just a lot to learn. And if you haven't already picked up on it, whenever you see me change my filter to black and white, that means I'm having a conversation to you. I'm having a conversation with you, and I want your attention. And it's not about the fragrances at that point. It's about me talking to you as if you're sitting right in front of me. That's why it's in black and white, because I'm keeping it plain. I'm trying to make it 100. So that's why you see me switching my filters into black and white versus full color. Hence my why video and the one that talks about how I began my fragrance journey. Those two videos are very personal to me. I don't expect them to be personal to you because you don't know me. And if you did, that might not be something that you want to personally discuss. That was all for me. I had to get it out my chest, get it off my chest, get it out my chest, and share it, because that's where all this began. And so there's something else I wanted to share with you all regarding the discovery of my lights just went out. See, it's this kind of stuff that you can't practice. You can't practice, and it's probably going to go out again. One of the things I also recently discovered was the sound and the audio. I'm going to leave this light on. The sound and the audio. And if you look at some of my videos, I didn't have a microphone, or I might have been speaking and turned away from the mic, because it's very different. Radio, the mic is right here. And you've seen me in some of my videos. I think it was Cozy Sense where I actually had my deity mic and I was sitting there, but that's a different area of my home. And it's a little bit right now inconvenient to get that space. And plus everybody's busy, especially the time of day that I normally would record. So I can't always come and do that the way I would like. So I will say my apologies to you about the audio. And goodness, I think it's the one where I did Serenity Sense, where I was talking about the fragrance that I wore when I went to pay my respects. And that sound in the video, while I do think the sound selection was very appropriate, the volume was just way too high. It was way too high. And you could still hear me, but you shouldn't have to compete with it. You know what I mean? So it's things like that that I've gone back and forth plenty of times about asking myself, am I going to take that down and, re-upload? But I'm not going to do that because, again, that's a part of the grand progression of growth. And so I'm trying to get the life out of this, portable light as much as I can. That's a part of the grand progression of growth. So I'm not going to take it down. I will just make it so that I'm aware. I did recently get a new mic. It's a Mic Air because I plan on shooting on an Insta360 Go Ultra. So I really love vlogging, and I really want to make this as interactive with you as possible when I'm recording, even when I'm just doing a fragrance haul. It's just the way that I like to storytell, and as a writer, I like to bring those words to life as much as I can. So I'm aware of the audio hiccups. As far as the video, again, I'll probably do more of my scent stories where I'm sitting down like this, and I'll just do a list of, or put those fragrances to the side so I can tell you what it is that I was wearing, when and how it was, rather than trying to record in the moment. Because I didn't have a steady hand with that. And again, I'm still working out the set location. My husband told me something. He said, I'm hearing your voice and it sounds like Smooth Jazz 101.1. That's one of the stations I worked at, because typically it was Quiet Storm R&B evenings. Every now and then I did middays where you have to be much more upbeat, but typically I was almost typecast into doing Quiet Storm, which I didn't mind because I live for R&B slow jams. That's my groove. So my point being, he was saying, I'm hearing one thing, but I'm seeing something totally different. You don't look the way you sound in terms of not my physical appearance of who I am, but he's talking about, the location, the ambiance setting. And sometimes, the grooming of my hair. Because he's seen me when I'm together. And the people I work with see me all the time when I'm together. But on the days where I choose to record with you, my priority is so, focused on getting it done and the content done that my appearance and the location was taking a back seat. It was definitely secondary and tertiary. So I want to focus on making that more of a priority. And so, I just thank you for sitting with me as I grow and outline some other things that I want to reach as milestones, and some other things that I'm made aware of since, uploading in December 2025. And I'm not going to block out the times where I might have stumbled over a word or said, but those are crutch words. I know that they're crutch words. You learn about that in Toastmasters. And I strongly encourage anybody to try Toastmasters. It's a great way for someone to critique you on the very things I'm talking about. The way that you speak, the way you look when you speak. Are you addressing the entire audience? And even though I've looked at it prior to uploading, and even after I've uploaded, even to the point of releasing it, it's still very different knowing that it's live, knowing that there are other people that have seen it, and you kind of see it on a bigger screen, because I usually watch YouTube on my television, as many people do. It's just different. So I invite you to converse with me, talk to me, give me your feedback. If you're looking to start a YouTube channel, I can put you on to some people that I think were great advice givers, because there's a host of them here on YouTube. You just have to find somebody that you can listen to, that makes sense to you, that you can follow along with. And I outlined that in my other video, but yeah. So on to my next point. I will leave you with those thoughts, and I look forward to our next conversation, and very relieved that this one will not require any editing, any B-roll. I am the B-roll. I am the A-roll. So it's crazy to use those media terms on YouTube. Those are terms I learned in my studies of journalism when I was in college, and here we are using it just so fancy-free and cavalier here on YouTube. It's strange. I studied for this, and B-roll is used like a box of cereal out here. It's just kind of interesting. Anyway, we'll talk soon, so I look forward to it. Take good care.